You're exhausted by 9 p.m., you lay down and somehow your brain decides it's the perfect time to replay every conversation from last 5 years. This didn't used to happen. In your 20s you could crash after a bad night's sleep and bounce back the next day. Now, one bad night wreck you for 3. That is what's actually going on and why the magnesium pills sitting in half and kitchen cabinets in North America aren't doing anything for it. Hello everyone, my name is Dmitro Chumak, I'm a former athlete and founder of TIVAGENICS. What changes after 35? There is a well-known sleep study out of University of Chicago what mapped exactly what happens to sleep as you move from your 20 into your late 30 and 40s. The finding was blunt: the amount of deep, slow-wave sleep, the kind that actually restore you, drops from close to 20% of the night in your early 20 to under 5% by your mid-30. By 45, most men have almost lost the ability to generate meaningful deep sleep. And deep sleep isn't just about feeling rest. It's when growth hormone gets released, and it's when cortisol, your main stress hormone, is supposed to bottom out of the night. That's the second piece. Multiple studies on aging and HPA exist. The system that controls your hormone output show that cortisol regulation gets less efficient with age. Evening cortisol, which should be dropping steadily by night, goes on. Stay elevated for longer. That's the wired by tired. Feeling exhausted by your nervous system won't switch off. So it's not in your head. Less deep sleep plus a stress hormone system that's slower to wind down in the evening. That combination is largely why sleep at 40 feels fundamentally different from sleep at 25. Where magnesium actually fits in. This is where magnesium comes in and where most people are taking it wrong. Magnesium is involved in the regulation of the HPA axis, meaning it plays a real role in how your body manages that evening cortisol response. Multiple clinical trials, mostly in older adults, have shown the magnesium supplementation can reduce evening cortisol and improve sleep onset, meaning you fall asleep faster and spend less time lying there wired. But, and this on the part almost nobody explains, how all magnesium in the same and the forms matters enormously. Magnesium oxide is the cheapest, most common form, and it's what you will find in most drugstore multivitamins. The problem is absorption. Clinical research puts its absorption rate at roughly 4%. That means out of 400 milligrams oxide tablet, your body is realistically taking in a teeny fraction of the elemental magnesium. Most of it moves straight through your gut, which is also why oxide is more likely to give you loose stools. Magnesium glycinate, magnesium bound of the amino acid glycine, absorb dramatically better. Depending on the study absorption, it's around 23 to 30%, several times higher than oxide. It's also gentler on digestion, which matters if you are taking it every night long term. And glycinate itself has a secondary calming effect. It's been shown to support the transition into sleep independently of the magnesium. Now I want to be precise here, because a lot of content on this topic overstate the evidence. The specific clinical trial most often cited for magnesium lowering evening cortisol and improving sleep in the older adults actually use the oxide form at the very high 500 elemental dose. So oxide isn't completely useless. It can work, but only if you are taking a generally adequate dose, and a lot of people underdose it without realizing how little actually gets absorbed. Glycinate's advantage is that you get meaningful, more elemental magnesium absorbed per milligram more consistently without the digestive downside of pushing the oxide dose and higher. The practical part. So what does this actually looks like if you want to use it. The range most commonly used in research and clinical practice is 300 to 400 milligrams of magnesium glycinate. Take it in the evening, probably 30 to 60 minutes before bed. This isn't sedative, so don't expect to feel it hit you like a sleeping pill. What it's doing is supporting the physiological conditions, lower evening cortisol, calmer nervous system tone, that make it easier for your body to actually wind down. And realistically, check your label. A lot of magnesium supplements on the shelf are oxide-based specifically because it's cheaper to manufacture. If cortisol and sleep at night is the problem you are solving for, the form on the label matters as much as the dose. Sleep at 40 isn't going to look exactly like sleep at 25. That's just biology. But a huge chunk of what people write of getting older is actually a fixable gap. Less efficient cortisol regulation made worse by taking a form of magnesium what your body barely absorbs. Fix the form, get the dose right, and you are giving your body an actual shot at the deep sleep. If this was useful, like the video and subscribe. And drop a comment if you want the next to cover what actually happens to testosterone alongside cortisol as you age.